Hi, everyone. I am so excited about my guest today. I'm so excited. I actually feel like I could fly right now. That's how excited I am. Welcome to the You-est You podcast. Today, you're in for such a treat. So I am thrilled to introduce you to Honorée Corder. Honorée, thank you so much for coming and being on the show today.
I'm going to come today and tomorrow and next week. We've already had so much fun. I want to keep doing it.
We couldn't stop talking. It was so much fun. I just could literally. I realized we should start. So
we might record.
Yeah, and record. I'm going to just introduce, there's so many things to say about Honorée, and please, if I miss anything, this is a woman you need to know, want to know. I'm very grateful that she is someone I've gotten to know and have helped me with my own book. So Honorée Corder is the author of dozens of books, and I'll let her tell you more about that, but dozens of books, including You Must Write a Book. I want to just say with my book, I read You Must Write a Book, and you must read You Must Write a Book is what I would say. It's incredible. Anyone who has a story and they think they're even inkling and they want to write a book, this is a must. She's also the author of the Prosperous Writer book series, Vision to Reality, Business Dating, the Successful Single Mom book series, If Divorce is a Game, These Are the Rules, and The Divorced Phoenix. Oh, I love those titles. She is also Hal Elrod's business partner in the Miracle Morning book series, and that is how we met through one of Hal's events, Best Year Ever. Honorée coaches business professionals, writers, and aspiring nonfiction authors who want to publish their books to bestseller status, create a platform, and develop multiple streams of income. Very important. She also does all sorts of other magical things, and her badassery is legendary, and that is true. You can find out more at honoreecorder.com, and I'll have all that information below in the show notes. This woman is magical and is a badass and is just one of the most inspiring people that I've been privileged to get to know. And I mean that in all sincerity. You are just a powerhouse, my friend. I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you. And back at you, fellow badass.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go.
So, I know there's so many different places that we could go into. One of the questions I like to start out with, the name of the show is the You-est You. And I'm obsessed a bit with really how each, person, especially someone so inspiring and empowering like you, like, how did you get here? And what does the You-est You look like for you? What does it mean to you? Just whatever you feel like sharing around who is the You-est You, and whatever you want to share around how you got there.
Got it. So I guess I gave a TED talk, and I started with the things that words people would use to describe me: foster kid, barely graduated from high school, divorcee, single mom, no college education. So that's my background. Also known as I went through a bunch of crap to get to the point where I started to figure out that I was the person in the middle of all of that. In other words, I had gotten, some things were out of my control, and many of those things were not out of my control. And what did I need to do in order to take control of my life? And was I able? These are the questions I'm asking myself. Am I able to be successful? Am I able to, turn the Titanic around, as it were? And if I could, what does that look like? And what am I here for? All the questions that we ask ourselves: is this all there is? And what are we here for? And present day, I am still asking myself, is this person a good vibrational match with me? Do they add or take away from? Is this thing that I want to do the thing that is for my highest and best good, and for the highest and best good of all those around me? And being my You-est You is saying yes when I mean yes, and saying no when I mean no, and being unapologetic about it.
Wow.
And I'm sure you have questions from that. So
yeah, I'm like, which one? I have like 15,000 questions, but I'm gonna focus. And
sure.
Well, I'm curious, when you look, foster kid,
yeah.
I know a little bit about your story about being divorced, being left, it was not a, what is it? What had you make that transformation, that change? I mean, that's a lot of things to go through that most people would find themselves, maybe using alcohol or just feeling miserable about themselves or a victim. And you did the opposite. What do you attribute that to? What do you think helped make that shift?
You know what? I don't know that I don't naturally possess an undefeatable spirit. I don't go down easy. I'm tall. So
nice.
I'm larger than some people. So there's a little fear like, man, I don't know if we want to tackle her. She's a little bigger than the next one. Someone shorter behind her. We'll work on that one.
Being tall helps.
Yes. So I think there's nurture and nature. I think maybe my natural spirit is strong. I've been told I'm an old soul, and I believe I've been to this dance before. So I don't internalize things that other people may internalize. Along with that, in my early 20s, I did discover the work of Tony Robbins, and I did go to the Firewalk weekend, the Unleash the Power Within. I've been to that, several times over the years, and I've done everything that Tony wanted to do. I remember buying the first 4 cassette tapes of Unleash the Personal Power at the bookstore. And then I was really upset that it didn't have all 30 days. And then I had to save up to order the entire set. And then I've done that over and over and over throughout my adult life. And I could probably recite it along with Tony. So I was able to ask the questions, right? The morning power questions. What's great about this? What do I love about myself? When you ask a good question, as Tony says, when you ask a quality question, you get a quality answer. So what do I love about myself? You can only say nothing, but that doesn't get you anywhere. So it's like, okay, well, I love that I'm tall.
Take some people down.
I love that I trip over things easily, right? So like you kind of can back yourself into it, and then you start to realize, hey, I love that I have a really good heart, and that I always have good intentions, and that I see the best in people, and those sorts of things. So I learned to ask and answer good quality questions, and then I read the 4 Agreements, which is, it's not about you. So don't take it personally, and that sort of thing. And I really have spent my entire adult life working on myself and peeling back the layers of the onion and just trying to be the best person that I can possibly be, and recognizing my culpability in any situation. And when someone would say, oh, you were a single mom, you went through a divorce, it's like, yeah, I chose him.
Yeah.
I couldn't have chosen anyone different based on who I was at the time and the information I had about myself. So he might not be the most amazing person in the world for me.
Yeah.
And that's on me. I take 100% responsibility. It takes all the victim out of it.
Yeah.
And puts all the responsibility on me. And when you have all the responsibility, then you have all the opportunity also.
Brilliant. Gosh, that's like a nugget right there. I can see the quote and the little meme behind it.
Did you want to make a little meme on Instagram? Yeah. You can. That's totally
I do. Fun. I'm like, that is perfect. Well, and I haven't gone through a divorce. I've had similar questions.
Don't do that.
Yeah. No, I don't recommend it. Right.
Yeah.
Now happily remarried. And I always said he is a wonderful person who I first married. And I so relate to you, I created that marriage relationship. And so what I hear, the underpinning is that personal responsibility, that really taking ownership of everything in your life, and the switch.
And sometimes that sucks. And sometimes you taking ownership, and then you're like, crap, I don't have anywhere to go, but to spend some really intense time in deep reflection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that sometimes is not the most fun. And I can say that the tunnel sucks and the other side is worth it. If you just keep digging. The sunlight, the light at the end of the tunnel is not an oncoming train. It's actually sunlight.
Yeah. That's a good distinction. And I'm glad for everyone listening, just so there is sunshine, you're not going to have a train. Yeah.
The personal growth is the hard part, right? The getting out of the cocoon is the hard part, but becoming the butterfly and flying is great. You have to go through that process. You have to struggle to get out. Otherwise your wings aren't going to be strong and you're not going to be able to fly very long. And unfortunately, that's just how it is.
I love that. It's so true. But so I'm actually tearing up a little as I was walking into my house today before doing this podcast. There was a butterfly flew right in front of me.
I totally did that. Yeah.
So Honoree planned it. The butterfly let me pet it. I was petting. Who pets a butterfly?
Nobody. You do.
I was petting it. I was like talking to this butterfly. Anyhow, I'll just say that they're very important to me, and I appreciate that you orchestrated that for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. I do what I can.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, everyone listening, that Honoree could actually orchestrate a butterfly being there for me to pet it. It's possible. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Yes.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was orange, and anyhow, I'm going to move on from the butterfly. But so what does it look like now? I just would love to hear being free, being able to really be your You-est You, and all the different books that you've written and the way that you're making an impact in the world. Just a little bit about that. Would love to hear what that journey is like.
What is it like now? It's really cool, actually. I now get a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things, and it's really energy for me. It's really just, do I want to spend my time doing that? Because I don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Which is
I'm kind of good. So I want to spend time with my husband. I want to spend time with my daughter and my cats, Mr. Pickles and Frappuccino, who are
awesome,
fabulous family members. Yes. And my daughter's graduating from high school, and we have the ability to just run around and travel and do all sorts of wonderful things. And so then I still want to contribute to the world. I feel, I don't think an obligation is the right word, but I didn't have very many people speak words of possibility into me in those moments when I wasn't feeling my best self. And so Tony Robbins did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
On a cassette tape on my Sony Walkman that was yellow, because I had the sport one with the.
So did I.
If I dropped it, I wouldn't break it. I'm just saying.
Right.
And I would walk the streets of Manhattan and listen to my Tony Robbins, and he was my cheerleader. And I don't know that everyone can hear his message, or that everyone could hear one person's message. And I feel if I can just speak words of hope and possibility into someone, just even one person, and they then take an action that's inspired, or they don't hurt themselves anymore. They stop using substances, or they don't kill themselves, or they start that business, or they stop not being in control of their time, or they get out of their own way, right? They get rid of limiting beliefs, all of those things. I was that person. Like, no one looks at my background and says, oh yeah, she's totally going to be successful, right? I meet people now who knew me back then. I'll reconnect with people and they'll say, yeah, Honoree, none of us saw this coming.
Right. Nope, not the train you're on.
Profile on LinkedIn, and they were like, "Wait, there's only one Honoree, but really?" All right, then we were not sure that was going to happen.
That's amazing.
I was watching the show Mom, and the daughter goes to meet the dad for the first time, and she says, my mom told me about you. And he was like, really? She's still alive? Like, right? He's like, there were times when we wondered if that was going to happen. That was absolutely me. And I don't know why I didn't turn to substances or those sorts of things. But I understand why people do. And also I recognize that it's effective or ineffective, right? So if it's not effective, figure a way to stop doing it.
Right.
The world is waiting for you to shine your light. The world is cheering you on and wants you to shed your limiting beliefs and anything that's in your way, including you, and become that person that lights the way for some others or many others or all others. That's why I continue to work. That's why I continue to write books, because I get a letter every day in the mail, and I get emails from people. And I don't believe that I'm the messenger or the message. I don't believe I'm the message. I'm just the messenger. I kind of download it and it comes through me. And then someone reads it, but I don't know that I'm the author of it. I think I'm just the printer.
It's so ironic because my next question, I love that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. And, one of the questions is about being an author of so many books. So it's like holding the space of being an author and not being the overall author, right? Like,
yeah, I have my opinion, but I also sometimes go back and read something that I've written. I'm like, I don't remember that.
yeah.
That seemed to have come through me. That is for someone. Just like when I'm on stage and so it occurs to me to say something now, I always say it. And there is usually someone who comes up to me after crying, like the ugly cry.
Yeah.
And they'll say, that thing that you said, that was for me. I needed that today.
Wow.
Today was going to be the day that I did this, this, or this. None of these are the good things. And you're inspiring me to keep going.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
or whatever. Yeah.
Right. To move forward. There's a degree of being in tune and present and being able to be at that point where you can let go of yourself and really allow whatever's coming up to come through you. Do you have practices that you do, or how do you keep yourself in that space of being able to receive and be present and to share like that?
I just turn off the governor. I turn off I meditate, but I also turn off the governor. I just am listening. I know before I talk what are the things that I want to touch on. It's always fun when someone wants a PowerPoint presentation, because I'm like, okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with a PowerPoint, right on. So I create the PowerPoint, and then sometimes I just go, oh yeah, I will flip through slides. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that stuff today.
I actually am a lot like you, and I totally get it. And most people are like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, well, what's on those slides? Like, nope. The higher power is saying we can skip slides 41 to 47. It's no problem. It's in your handout. Email me if you have a question. So,
and 1 through 20, right? Exactly.
Right. Yes. We're going to just have it sit on the first slide. I did that one time. Like I had a whole presentation, and then I was just talking on a Zoom like this, and I just never even flipped to the next slides at all the whole time. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think the woman that I was working with was a little irritated with me, but it's okay.
You got to do you. You're You-est You. Hey,
I'm being my You-est me.
Me-est me.
I'm being my Me-est me right now, and so that's how that's going to work. Yeah,
we're going to stay on one slide.
It's always with good intentions.
Absolutely.
I always think if you have a good, pure intention and you're being your authentic self, that people appreciate that.
100%. And one of the things I heard Honoree speak, just for some background, I think it's important. I heard Honoree speak at the Best Year Ever Blueprint Conference in California in 2016. And just hearing your story, first of all, is it 32 books now? How many books?
I don't know, 30 plus.
30 plus. I mean, I was taking notes, and finally I'm like, this woman is beyond. Like, I can't keep up. I couldn't keep up with the names, the titles, what she had done. And I was listening to you, and you're funny and you're relatable and you're authentic. And I had this, I had a complete girl crush. I just realized I put emojis. I don't have those very often, but hey, cool. I had stars all over her name. I was telling her I put emojis by her name when I took it down. Anyhow, just the commitment that you've made to be present, to peel back those onion layers, that takes something. And just hearing the success and how you're impacting the world, I think it's very inspiring for anyone listening, that is in a tough spot. Like you said, just having that indefeatable, even if you're not tall. Even
if you're not tall. And also I saw a meme that said, even the worst day only has 24 hours.
That's great.
Yeah, the worst day of your life is still only going to last 24 hours. And then there's tomorrow. And sometimes the bad days are strung together by luck, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, wow, yesterday was my worst day ever, but today somehow made yesterday not look as bad. I'm not sure how that happened. And that's when having really good self-talk, really good questions, a really good bench. And by bench, I mean, who's on your team? Who's sitting next to you? Who can you call at 1 o'clock in the morning and say, I don't have any money, but I do have a dead body. I could use some help, right? Come
resuscitate me, please.
Are you on my team? I don't know. Let's find out. And Not like that. It seems to me there are very few people that, if any person in this world has, and cultivating those relationships in advance of meeting them is important. In lieu of that, there are lots of people. One of my friends is one phone number off of the suicide hotline in Las Vegas.
Oh,
And he
wow.
takes at least one call a day.
Oh my, I just got chills in my body.
And he will talk to them. He has skills as a life coach, and he's been through a lot of personal development, and he'll just sit on the phone and talk to someone. He just pretends like he's the suicide hotline until they're fine. And then he's like, by the way,
this is actually Joe.
Not to make you even feel worse about yourself, but you didn't even dial the number correctly.
That's, and I'm laughing, obviously serious, but, and like, that's funny and amazing that he does that. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
That's his gift, is just to be there for. So there is someone for you. There is someone who will listen for you. There is someone who cares, even if you don't think that is the case.
Yeah. That is beautiful.
And be that person for someone. If you think you don't have someone, that means someone else doesn't have someone. So go find someone who has it worse than you do. Go find a homeless person and feed them dinner, or go to a homeless shelter and spend the night so that somebody can sleep in a homeless shelter. There's just so many things you can do when you are at your lowest. There is somebody who is wishing for your worst day.
That is a really good reframe and reminder. That's really powerful. Yeah. There's always a way to kind of get outside of yourself too, and really make an impact, which I like getting outside of myself. I know it sounds kind of funny, the words, but I find that then I don't, first of all, I don't have to be in my whole vanity crap and think about things. It's great. It's just like leaving myself every now and then, and just but being of service.
Well, when you're in the moment and helping someone, it's not about you.
That's right.
It's not about how good you look, or how much you weigh, or how much money you have, because none of that stuff matters anyway.
Absolutely. So I'm picturing you with your Sony Walkman. I had the same one, the yellow one. It's really funny. It was the Sportman, I think it was called. I listened to Top Gun. That was my motivation.
Oh, yes, of course.
Danger Zone. I'm not sure why. I think just picturing those two men in there did it with the music. That's what helped me. If I'd known Tony, I was into Louise Hay, actually. I listened
Okay. Yep. I got some Louise. I got some Ernest Holmes in there. I got some Eric Butterworth.
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
My peeps, my fam.
Yes, exactly.
My bench.
Yes. Norman Vincent Peale.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're all added so much to this planet, really.
Yes. And that's a good list of people to look up their stuff. If you're having a bad day or a tough time, if you're going through an actual tough time, picking up a book and reading from one of the tried and true masters. Think and Grow Rich is great. And that actually is a program for your entire life. Read The Power of Positive Thinking. And if it's very religious in nature, if that is not your bag, then just ignore it and take the message of the power of positive thinking is not just about the Bible verses it's based on. It's turn the great energy of your thinking upon things that are positive and looking for the positive as opposed to looking at the negative or for the negative.
That's beautiful.
And you turn it around.
I can tell, and I got this when you were speaking, that is how you do life. That's how Honoree does Honoree. That's how you do yourself.
Yes.
It's looking that way.
I get mad for a minute and then I go into the solutions. I'm working on a series of books with a co-author and I got mad about a situation and I called him and I was like, I'm mad. And he said it to me and I said, no, I'm mad at the situation. I said, but don't worry. I never call and say I'm mad without a solution. He was like, great. What's the solution? Because you can't do anything about what had happened. I cannot change anything in the past.
Right.
Darn, that would be amazing.
Let me know when you figure that out. You might
when I figure that out, that's an infomercial waiting to happen. However, I have to recognize what is the real problem and how big is the real problem, or am I just emo? Right, I'm making the problem. I don't know, that might happen once or twice.
Every now and then.
And then what are the possible solutions?
Yeah.
And what's the best solution, and how do we integrate that solution and just get moving in that direction? Because what you focus on is what you get.
Yeah.
And if I focus on what I'm upset about, then I just get more upset. It's why you should only talk about something one time. Something's upsetting you. You say, this is what's upsetting me. And then you move into what's upsetting you. Well, I figured out what was upsetting me, and I figured out how I'm going to fix it. Let me tell you how I'm going to fix it, just in case you have an idea. Not the actual problem, because marinating in it just makes you more mad.
Yeah.
Or to me, maybe I'm the only one, but
no, completely. It's such sage wisdom. And I'm thinking for those listening, so often we're looking for people to vent to, and it's actually that venting, and part of becoming who you are and living into that, I'm sure you've learned from doing it the other way too. It doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good to live in the stewing of what's not working. And it's one of those things, I know with coaching people, and it can be a little counterculture too. Our culture loves drama and getting into
breaking news.
Yeah, it's like I actually don't even watch. I don't watch any kind of.
But everything is breaking news now. Nothing just happens. It's all breaking news. It's all 24-hour. But that's how we're conditioned. I tell you about the thing I'm upset about, Julie, and then when we're done with the podcast, I'm going to call someone and go, I was on the podcast. I was just telling Julie on the podcast that I was mad about it, and then I called Bill, and I was telling Julie on the podcast, and then I told Jen about it. So now I'm like spreading the lack of joy across the
the airways. Yeah. Why do that? Right.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to process it. You have to get it out in order to process it. So when I am talking to someone, I will say, I'm trying to work through something and I haven't been able to work it through by thinking about it. So can I bounce it off of you? I don't want to get into a complaint session, but I want to say, this is how I see what this person said, or this is how I see what's happening in this situation. Do you have anything that can help me get a different perspective on it, or take a different procedure around it? And it has to be someone who's not like, okay, tell me what happened.
Right. Yeah. Who doesn't get kind of caught into the meat of the story. This is
drama.
The drama. This is really wise. I've sort of vowed to myself to try to live this way. I sound like I just took some vow like a nun. No, it's not, but it's a vow. It's a contract with myself to do. Yes. I love nuns. I could not be a nun, but still, no, this idea of choosing to be with, because it's life, things are going to come up. And so
every day.
Yeah. And you said
every day there's something that could really take us off of our axis.
Yeah.
And the miracle morning practices, when you said, what are the practices? I almost said, well, obviously.
It was a shoo-in. No, I love miracle morning and those practices.
So those are the practices that are my touchstone.
Right.
But I have not just affirmation and visualization, but I call it the P3, the prosperity, the 3 things of prosperity. So I read it, I write it, and I listen to it every day. So I'm reading a little bit every day, putting it in. I'm listening to it while I'm doing something. I'm listening to something positive. And then I write affirmations and intentions and those sorts of things down. So in my journal, it says savers, SAVERS, and I check those off. And then I have an F because I'm studying French. And then I have P3, which is my 3 things of prosperity that I do, or positive thinking that I do every day.
I love it. It's like savers.
Yeah.
Which is very French. Fup. Yeah, exactly.
Savers. Yeah,
exactly. Oh my gosh. Savers comes from the Miracle Morning, and I highly recommend it. Listening. It is one of my favorite books of all times. It's actually how we connected, how it's been a life changer. And it's a great way to get a structure too, and just really get those habits down that are game changer. I'm curious, because now as an author of 30 plus books, you didn't start out with 30 books. And I wouldn't put it past you, but I know there was a process and evolving, it's part of the whole piece of wanting to inspire people is evolving into that, who you came here to be. Right. And so I'm curious, what did you have a vision when you started? What did it look like in the beginning with writing? As Honoree shaking her head, like, no. Tell us about your writing journey, because 30 plus books is just extraordinary. And
so not a writer. Barely graduated high school. Didn't take a writing class ever. Still haven't had one. Probably should take one.
I think you're good.
Maybe.
I think you're all right.
Maybe. I don't know what I don't know, so it might not be bad. Sometimes I go and study something and realize that I intuitively figured things out just from reading a lot. Good writers tend to be voracious readers. I've always been a voracious reader, so maybe I just picked up a few sentence structure-y things along the way that might be helpful, and then I make up words like structure-y. My first book was at the suggestion of Mark Victor Hansen, who's the co-creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. And I saw him speak at a conference in 2004. And he said, he came to the back of the room where I was sitting by myself, the nerd section, and I was typing notes on my computer. And he kind of came over and he said, hi. And I said, hi. I said, it's nice to meet you. And he said, who are you? And I said, I'm Honoree. And he said, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm a coach and a speaker, with a hair flip and everything. And he was like, yeah, honey, everybody's a coach and a speaker. You must write a book. And I said, oh, okay. Well, how hard could that be?
Yeah.
Just writing a book, like whatever, buddy. And I said, any suggestions? And he said, if you have you're a speaker, do you have a speech that you've given over and over that people like? And I said, yeah. And he said, write that down. That's your first book.
Wow.
That was my first book. So I went home from that conference and sat in a chair for 3 days and typed my book, typed my speech into a book. And then I hired a guy who I knew who had a radio show with his brother. I had met them at an entrepreneurs conference. And so I called him up and I said, you guys have a book. Can I hire you to coach me? And he's like, I don't coach people $500 an hour. And I was like, okay, great. Because I was charging double that at that time. So I was like, okay, that's a steal. Nice. And so I sent him the book and I said, so we'll talk again next Friday. And he said, sure. And I called him the next Friday and he was like, it's actually really good. And he was genuinely shocked.
I love it.
He was genuinely shocked that what he had read was good. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know whether to be insulted or happy.
Right.
And so I didn't know about editing, proofreading, professional cover design, interior design and layout, the things that I talk about now in my books that I learned because people would go, yeah, so there's a typo on the back cover, or there's this thing that people do called editing to make sure there aren't any mistakes. Yeah, so I learned everything I talk about in all of my books. The books that I have written for writers, those are all journeys I've gone on and all mistakes. I call them stupid tacks, but those are all journeys that I've been on myself. And I'm trying to save people from making those mistakes, because that if someone picks up your book and reads it and it's a bumpy read, they find mistakes, then they begin to question you, the author, and your professionalism and attention to detail and blah, blah, blah. Even though to this day, and I just did the final read through of a book that I'm co-writing, and my co-author said, wow, he's like, you went through this with a fine tooth comb. I can really tell. He's like, I think you're secretly an editor. And I was like, no.
Not happening.
No. I said, I am not a trained editor, but I can read. I have common sense and I have Grammarly. And that gets you most of the way there. A trained editor, also known as someone who has editor on their tax return, is the person who would be the best person to go through your book. And fortunately or unfortunately, editors who are really good charge a fair amount of money. And that's sometimes a block for people, is they want to do everything as cheaply as possible, and yet they want a big return for it. And sadly, those things don't go together. The age of being able to just throw something out there and have it return anything of past, because now there are quite a number of professional indie publishers who know the boxes to check and have a good attention to detail.
Yeah.
So I didn't have this, to go back to your original question. When I wrote my first book, I wasn't a writer and I wasn't an author in my head. It wasn't until book 7. I just got the fever. I just kept writing books. So it wasn't until
like
book
Forrest
7.
Gump.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll just keep running. I was at a networking event in Dallas, and at the time I had a COO because I had a different kind of vision and structure for my company. And a guy came up and he said, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm a business coach and I do some speaking. And Joan said, and she's an author. And he's like, oh, you're an author? And I was like, yeah. What do you write? Well, I have, books. And after he left, she said, author is a cool thing and you could lead with that.
Yeah.
So, and then all along the way, I just kept coming up with an idea. So I wrote Vision to Reality because I had a coaching program, and people would ask me, they would spend their session time with me when I was supposed to be putting my brain on their business. They would ask me, why am I doing what I'm doing in the program right then? What was the psychology behind it? So I decided to write a companion guide just for my clients. And then at the time I was in a mastermind and I said, would you guys just take a look at this and see, because I'm too close to it. And they said, this needs to just be a book you release. Vision to Reality was never supposed to be a book that was available to the public. I was just going to send it to my clients so they could have a 200-page explanation as to the psychology behind what I was asking them to do and why. Instead of just do 100 push-ups, it's like, well, push-ups build your shoulders and your biceps and your triceps, and all of those 3 together working in concert build your muscular strength, and you won't hurt yourself later when you're old, and blah, 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 right? There's a whole cycle. There's a method to my madness.
Right.
And I set out to write down the method, and that then became Vision to Reality. And then that started working, and I had published the Single Mom book and then the series. And then Hal reached out and said, I want the Miracle Morning book series. I see you have a successful series. Maybe we could do a book together and see how it works out. And we are 12 books and hundreds of thousands of copies sold later.
Amazing.
Of those books, and more in the pipeline, and absolute joy to work with him. And I just, every time I think I'm done, I'm like, okay, I write these 3 books and I'll be finished. And then someone will call me and say, I had an idea for a book, which is like so bizarre because I don't know that it's easier for me, but it is not easy to write a book. And so I can just, well, I have an idea for a book. I'm like, did you just give me a book to write? Like, it's not even a real thing.
It is now.
For me. Yes. So I do get that. And I have written a couple of series with a couple of different co-authors other than Hal. And that's really fun to collaborate. So I now have a lot to say about collaboration because I have all the collaboration with the Miracle Morning co-authors, and then collaboration with many of my own co-authors. And I've learned a lot about collaboration, and that's really fun because writing a book is a solitary experience. It's not a group community effort. You can talk to someone about what you've written or what you're going to write. Ultimately, it's just you and the keyboard for hours at a time.
Yeah.
Being able to send it to someone real time and say, take a look at this. Do you have anything to add? That's really fun. I'm enjoying that process as well.
That is so cool. Wow. Yeah. And I'm thinking about the evolution of that, the back of the room, taking notes, Mark Victor Hansen, you should probably write a book, which is so ironic because you must write a book. I was like, ding, 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 the title. And seriously, that book, I know I also was fortunate enough to get to work with you a little bit, but it was a pairing. I had the book and you, and it was so funny. I got the audio and the book. So I had Honoree, I had the audio version and then the actual book. I'm like, I am all over this.
Awesome. Well, it's either enough or too much. So I'm glad you're still happy.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too much. I'm one of those. Well, I tend to overdo it sometimes.
I like it. I like it. Well, what's interesting is sometimes the book is obvious. Amazon invited me to come to New York for an indie author breakfast last October.
Wow.
And I asked them what the purpose of the breakfast was. And they said, we really want to raise awareness so that more people write and publish books on Amazon. And so I said, if I wrote a book about why everyone should write and publish a book on Amazon, would that be a good idea? And they said, yeah, that actually wouldn't be a bad idea. And so that's why I wrote You Must Write a Book. And then I did the companion workbook, I Must Write My Book, which is following the structure of You Must Write a Book, where you fill in the blank. Like, here are the things, not the actual text of the book, but putting together the book before you write the book. I don't know how many times someone has called me and said, I'm about 80% of the way done writing my book. And then I ask 4 questions and then they start saying things like, oh crap.
Back to 25%.
I had no forethought. Well, you have to put some forethought before you cannot just sit down to write a book like you sit down to write a 3-sentence note to someone thanking them for the teddy bear. You have to think about the outcomes of the book, and that informs and influences what goes in the book.
For sure.
There's a bit of pre-work that has to be done, sadly.
Yes.
And so my antidote to that was to say, here's a workbook that's going to walk you through, and you can answer these questions. You're going to save hundreds, if not thousands of hours.
It's brilliant. No, and I've seen that. And, it's funny. I started my book process. I've only written 1 book. However, I'm going to say that took.
Hey, there's not only one book. It's a book.
It's a book. And I'm damn proud of it. Yeah. Yes. It was a 2-year thing, but there was there was so much pre-paving and massaging. It did not just happen. That was, a lot of really getting lots of thoughts and ideas. Anyhow, so I know it's so funny. It's like You-est You, You Must Write a Book. I'm going to write a book companion. I said it wrong. I must write my book. I must write my book.
It's giving them ownership. Here's my book for myself. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I know your belief, and I'm in this camp too. I don't want to speak for you, but that anyone and everyone has a story, and that if you have the impetus to write a book, I always say, if you have an inkling to do it, then do it. You never know who you're going to touch with your story. You're a phenomenal example.
Well, sometimes when I'm talking to someone about writing their book, I always ask them, what do they want from their book? Some people want a book that makes money. Some people want a book that makes them money because of the book. So they sell consulting services or speaking services. Right. Some people want to record something. They just feel like they want to get their story out on paper, and they don't have, I need to sell it, or I need to even show it to someone else, but they need to get their story out. It depends on what you want the book to do and what you want to do with the book. That will inform and influence how much time and money you need to put into getting it out into the world.
Yes.
You don't necessarily need to put everything that you write out into the world. Sometimes you want it's cathartic to get it out. Especially if you've had any trauma, sometimes it's helpful just to write about that and to get it out, as opposed to keeping it inside. That doesn't mean anyone else has to see it, or you have to turn it into a book and share it with the world.
Right. And probably individual decision and weighing out what you're saying and how, great point.
Writing is very personal too. And some people are more comfortable than others. I definitely don't write everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like some
smart
people don't
girl.
See that. Some people don't need to see that. That's just
right. Don't need to hear that part. Right.
We're gonna need to hear that part. Well, and we all have kids and neighbors, and so
it's not that I just sleep with a teddy bear, but there are other things
no judgment. Right. No judgment. And you get to use your own. You get to make your own decision and feel empowered to make the decision that feels right for you. Absolutely. And there are a lot of people who come out and tell their story, and that empowers other people to tell their story. We're seeing it happen in the world right now with the Harvey Weinstein story.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone kept it quiet, and had they known that they were one of many, 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 they might have spoken up sooner and stopped it sooner.
Yeah.
To think of all those people that were suffering in silence.
Yes.
And if you are able and willing to share your story, you will probably find that you are one of many, not alone.
Yeah.
You are not alone in whatever it is that you're going through or you're thinking. Believe me, not only are you not the only one, but there's a psychology class about it.
Right. There's like departments devoted.
Yeah, there are people that are developing skills and the ability to help you through that problem, right?
Absolutely.
Or that challenge, or
Absolutely.
that whatever. Yeah.
one thing you mentioned, this is kind of lighthearted, but I related to this, and I have a joke about it. You mentioned the stupid tax earlier.
Oh, yes.
And I'm just thinking for people that, as you evolve and you become yourself. So I actually think it grows incrementally as for myself. And I'm wondering if you feel this way as I'm expanding as a human in my career and what I'm doing, the dollar amount of this stupid tax, it's been like doubling. I really, I could see it. Like it used to be, like $100. It's not $100 anymore.
No.
It's in the thousands. It's like, and just, I'm curious for you. I know for me, I've developed a, just getting more intuitive and in tune so that I don't make decisions as quickly. I sit with it more is what's helped me with that one. I'm curious for you.
The same. The tax gets bigger. Yeah. The higher up the ladder you climb, the tax gets bigger. I do more meditation. I'm more in tune with my intuition. Like I said, I go a lot on energy. And I'm also, I am fearless when I say to someone, this is what I think. I'm not an expert on everything, but this little thing right here, this I know. And I caution you to not. Someone very close to me published a couple of years ago, and the book is great, and the cover is just awful. And the first cover was awful. And I said, and she's like, I just want to get the book out. And so she put another awful cover on the book, and recently posted, I published this book 2 years ago, and I had such high hopes for it. It was such a, and I don't have the money to pay you for a coaching session, Honoree, and I don't want to, take up your time, and I don't have the money for a book cover either. So I'm just going to do it. And that type of, and there's no judgment, and there's just my broken heart, because I know what it takes to write a book and to go through all of that, and then just to throw any old cover on it. And those are mistakes that I see people making.
Right.
And I cost a lot. My book doesn't cost a lot. It will save you money.
Oh yeah.
Right. When you invest, it's just like someone who says, is there a templated legal agreement that I can find online? Or I'm just going to do my own taxes, or I'm going to do my own book formatting, or I'm going to form my own company. I'm going to do my own company formation documents. There are certain things you should just let an expert do, and that will cut down on your stupid tax when you rely on experts that actually know what they're talking about. So there's another little asterisk there, right? Don't take advice from someone who says they're an expert. Actually make sure that they are. Yeah. Then it will actually save you money, because once you've invested, and it's all gravy from there. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, completely. And I almost see it like an integrative approach. There's like the prior to it, like what I've learned is meditate, get quiet, start to get in tune before I make a decision. I get very excited, and I've learned, it's been a big learning. That's for me, the stupid tax is like, I knew it. I had that small voice that said, maybe you should wait. And
maybe you should wait. Yes.
Yeah. So listen to that.
Listen to your voice. Yeah. And then at least pay an expert for their opinion. I know someone right now who's getting a provisional patent, and the provisional patent attorney said, well, if you have someone who can do all of this work, then you'll only have to pay me for 2 hours to review it and make sure that it's processed correctly, instead of 100 hours to do it. So it's going to cost you 25%. And so that's what they're doing. That was the fiscally responsible thing. That's the fiscally responsible thing to do anyway. Like, unless you just want to light money on fire to watch it burn because you need amusement, right? Which no one's that rich that I know of. Then you figure out the best way to do it. And sometimes you have to like pump the brakes and cool your jets and save up. I know that's not a very popular opinion to save money and wait. Well, very unpopular opinion that I have, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our society can tend to be geared, and I don't even like to say things like that, because you get to be in the driver's seat. You just have to decide, I'm going to make it happen. I'm just going to save and make it happen.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes, well, hey, who hasn't like maxed out their credit line? Raise your hand if you've maxed out your credit line at a time or two to make something happen. 1,000%. And sometimes that was a wise decision and sometimes it wasn't. And I think what you and I are saying is get in tune.
Yeah.
Look at all your options and get in tune and make sure that you're making the right decision for you, and think long term. Like getting a book out into the world and just launching it, and you're going to sell 25 copies, and yet 2 years from now, it's not going to sell any copies because no one's looking at it and it doesn't have any new book juice left in it. And now you've wasted all of that time when you could have been making money. So it was a very short-sighted decision. And I don't pick her out as like the one person who's ever done that. I see it in my business over and over and over again. I actually had a conversation with someone that last night, and I said, he just called me randomly to see how I was doing. And he said, oh, and I'm working on my next book. And I said, who are you going to call? He's like, oh, I'm calling.
Good choice.
There's no way I'm leaving this to chance.
Yeah. Side note, yes. If you're thinking about it, do it. Yes, it's worth it. You are, you know.
I don't mean me in particular. I just mean a professional, whatever area of expertise. I thank you. I appreciate all of your kind words today for sure. And I know in the past, the reason I'm so emphatic about it is because I've done that. I've been lacking in money, and I've been in a hurry, and I've taken the easy, cheap way out. And then I look back and go, why? What was I not thinking? Because it's not what was I thinking. I was clearly, clearly not thinking.
Oh goodness. I love it. No, thank you for just being real. And I think one of the things, getting back to the in tune, and I'm realizing we're going to go soon to my 5 rapid fire questions, which I have no idea about. But the last thing I want to say is what I've really gotten from you is just that getting so in tune to your highest self, to who you are here to be, and taking those action steps and courage to live into that. And that's one of the things I just, I try to embody that and be that. And I think for those people listening that are, in the beginning phase, or maybe even steeped in personal development, I mean, you are someone who I know you practice this, daily.
Every day. Yep.
Every day.
Be quick to forgive yourself and others, and be unapologetic. My husband on our first date went to kiss me, and I kind of went, oh, and because I may or may not have kissed someone on the first date before, and I was still single. So I had decided I'm going to do something. We're going to be in a new program. So a couple of months later, he just kind of looked at me, and he's very matter of fact. And he said, so what was up with the no kissing on the first date? And I said, well, I liked you, and I may or may not have kissed someone on a first date before. This is an awkward conversation to have with you right now. But I wanted to do something new. I didn't want to screw it up. And he said something that was so profound. It affects almost everything I do to this day. And that is, and the advice that I give, which is you can't do the right thing with the wrong person. Yeah. And you can't do the wrong thing with the right person. I could probably start drooling, and you're like, but I still love you, Honoree, right? And the same with you, right? It'd be like, I can't believe she's eating during our interview, but I can believe she's eating because I love her, right? And then there's the person that's, if you don't like someone, if someone doesn't like you, you can't do anything right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do. You could be the best, most wonderful person in the world, and they're going to go, nope, I just don't like curly hair. That's it. Yeah. I don't like with curly hair, so she's out.
Yep. It's happened before.
Yeah, people with brown hair. Yeah, people who use Apple products.
Sorry.
Forget it. Yep, can't do it. Yeah, and there's nothing you can do. And I said that yesterday. I was coaching someone yesterday, and she called me about something, and she said, should I be that authentic? Should I be that direct in my conversation? And I said, look, you can't do the wrong thing with the right person. If she's the right person, she'll appreciate that you are asking and that you're being straightforward. And if she's the wrong person, there's nothing you could do anyway. Yeah. And you better to find it out sooner than later.
Absolutely. That's so wise. It comes back to the beginning, the 4 agreements. You also can't take it. We can't take anything personally. It's not.
No. It's mostly not about us. Everyone is running everything through their own filter. So the person who is going to turn this on and think that we are the coolest chicks ever.
Yay.
By the way. Yes. And people who turn this on and go, I can't even believe that I can't believe I spent the whole hour, to which I would say, why did you spend the whole hour?
Don't listen. It's
It was
okay.
pretty apparent 55 minutes ago that we are nutty. I don't know.
Right. You should have picked up on that cue early on.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
your sensory acuity is turned off for today. Anyway,
those still with us, we love you.
And if you're still with us and you love us, and of course we love you, and that's why we're here
That's awesome.
to add value and love and light to your life. So
awesome. Oh,
yeah.
I love talking to you. So for those listening, I could keep going and going and going, and I'm noticing, and I'm going and going. You're amazing. Like, it's just so easy to talk to you, Honoree. You're amazing. You are so inspiring.
I enjoy every interaction that we have.
Thank you.
That is absolutely 100% true. And that is not what I say to everyone.
Well, I'm getting, I could see that maybe. So thank you.
It's not always the case with everyone, I'm just saying.
All right. We got the last section. This is the 5 random rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay. I think so.
All right. We're just going to roll with it. You're so good at off the cuff. You do 1 PowerPoint for the hour. It's fine. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay. Favorite quote, at least in this moment. What's your favorite quote?
There's always a way if you're committed.
I need a moment of silence. Yeah. We love Tony. Favorite book?
Law of Success, Napoleon Hill.
Nice. It's a great one. Love it. If you could be any song, what song would you be?
Song? Oh, I'm so bad at song artists.
That's okay. You can go back 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, I know. I can go way back.
I mean like that.
Yeah, I can go way back, Julie. The first one is like, this girl is on fire.
Oh, I just listened to that yesterday on the plane.
It's a ringtone for a couple of my girlfriends. That's why I know who's calling. It's like, this girl is on fire.
Oh, yeah. Love her. Great. That's so great for you.
Yeah.
Well done. Nice.
Thank you.
All right. Last day on earth. It's your last day on earth. What wisdom would you share with others?
The serious or the funny?
Do both if you want. It could be an and statement.
Eat more pumpkin muffins.
Yum. Okay.
And the only thing getting in your way is you.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And anything you want to do is possible. Anything you want is possible. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not worthy or capable or smart enough, because they're lying and they're jealous and they're mean. Just saying.
Yeah. Or they haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I love it. It's true.
Yeah. I found out the other day that somebody I know sold the last time he released a book, he sold 10,000 copies an hour for the first couple of months. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
It's a record.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing
Don't make money in publishing.
Yeah,
okay.
Really. Okay. You're drunk. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Anything you want to do is possible. I love that. What are you most grateful for?
My family. So much more recently, that would be another podcast, but just realizing I have a person that I created, which is cool. And then I have my person. So what I say to my husband all the time, it's like, you are my person. It's so nice when you have your person. And if you don't have your person yet, they're there. They're out there. Yeah. They've been born. Unless you're like 14 and they might not be alive yet. But
they may not be born yet.
They might not be born yet. But if you're single, then don't settle, because the person you're looking for is also looking for you. And you don't want to tie yourself up with some, second tier person. You got to keep yourself free so you can find your person.
Love it.
But that's what I'm really most grateful for, is my people.
That's
sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. You-est You.
I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
A lot. Thank you.
So sweet. Thank you. Likewise, I was going to say your You-est You is just a badass ball of love and light and fire. Seriously.
Thank you.
You are amazing. I am so honored to have Honoree. It's so fun to say that. I'm sure you've heard that.
Oh my gosh. No, that's good. You go with that.
Honor to Honoree. I'm like loving the alliterations. Anyhow,
Yes.
I love alliterations. We could keep going. I'm going to actually have to put my hand on the stop because
Okay, do it.
inside of me everything wants to keep going. I don't want to stop. This was phenomenal. Thank you for sharing your You-est You, your beautiful, beautiful soul and inspiration. And
I'm so glad we
love.
connected. Namaste to you.
Namaste. I'm doing it. I don't want to.